that there would be this turnout that is here tonight. We get invitations to participate in various programs all across the country, and of course I knew the history of Visitation House, and I knew its history and its list of accomplishments, but to see the actual support that this worthy program has, it just puts the heart and soul on an issue that we all feel very, very strongly about. And look, you know, you're involved in politics as long as I have. You get kind of disillusioned once in a while, and you say, do people really care about life and children and family? Is that something that is passé? It's no longer relevant in politics and government? And then you walk through the door like this at Mount Carmel, and you see that this all matters. Every single effort that we make really matters. You know that I appreciate the invitation. I guess I like to think about when I was mayor of Boston. I really didn't have a heck of a lot of experience when I first got elected, but because you had that important title, you could get up there and you could talk to any group for as long as you want, and nobody put any restrictions on what you had to say. And the fact is that I didn't really know much to talk about. Now, all these years later, and all these prominent and extraordinary people that I became friends with and worked with all these years, I have so much to say, but your executive secretary there, Eve, sent me a little email, and she says, "We are delighted you're coming. It's a real fun family night. Can you try to keep your comments as relatively brief as you possibly can?" So now, Bishop McManus and Dean Riley, what do I do? Who do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about John Paul II, who I've known since 1969, when I was a young boy, attending Our Lady of Chesterhover Church in Boston Street in South Boston? Or do you want me to talk about presidents, prime ministers? And so I really didn't know, you know, where I could spend this limited time that Eve gave me here to talk about. But so I heard Father Reedy and the beautiful tribute paid to him. Of course, we know the work that he did. I knew of the work that he did from being at North American College. But the thought occurred to me, then the issue of Father Reedy, you brought up the issue of Harvard and Veritas. So I decided just here and now what my topic of conversation would be. Thank you. Eve, you got the hook, and pull the hook there if I go on too long. Well, I've been in politics a long time, and I was very active like you in the pro-life movement. Matter of fact, the very first bill that passed in Massachusetts was the so-called Flynn-Doyle-Flynn bill, which became law in Massachusetts, challenged, went all the way to the Supreme Court twice, and then it became the Hyde Amendment, but that was the legislation that we enacted here in Massachusetts. So I have this strong feeling, like you do, about the pro-life. And it's not a political position, it's just, yes, it is a political position, but it's a personal position. How could you not, growing up with parents and a community and a church that made so much of an importance on the dignity and respect of all human life, of all people. That wasn't a political philosophy. That wasn't the philosophy of a particular party. That was what I believed, and that's what I brought into government with me. So I became a bit of a friend to Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Now, when she got the honor, she was spoke at Harvard. I graduated from Harvard as well as Providence College. But I was assigned to be with Mother Teresa when she gave the commencement address. It's a kind of an interesting story I'll share with you. Mother Teresa, like this, you notice that I don't have any notes. I don't have any teleprompter. I speak with what I believe in and what's in my heart. So Mother Teresa now is addressing this most prestigious university, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And the speech, Harvard commencement, the speech was mesmerizing. Afterwards, the place was just packed. People were just overwhelmed. And it was about pro-life. Can you imagine this? The speech that she was giving at Harvard was about the rights and the dignities. And she used to always refer to the heroic mothers who brought children into the world against great odds. I'm practically hearing the same sentiments, echoes of the work that the Visitation House does here in the city of Worcester. Well, Mother Teresa delivers this extraordinary speech, and I'm say where you are here in front with Mother Teresa. So she walks down, and I'm escorting her, and the media, the national media, wanted to talk to her. So they had a little room cordoned off for Mother Teresa to answer some questions by the world media. The first question was, Mother Teresa, could you please provide us with a copy of your speech? And so she looks at me and she says, what do they want? I said, no, they want a copy of your speech. And of course I knew she didn't have any speech. She just said what she believed. But they thought that the speech was so incredible, they wanted to get a copy of it. So I said to her, I tried to, in broken English, I tried to explain to her, oh no speech, Mother Teresa, no speech, no paper, only what's in her heart. Mother Teresa, that's all. And so with that, the press now are figuring this one out, say, wait a minute, this can't be true. Prominent people give commencement addresses at Harvard up all night long for weeks preparing this speech. Well, there was none. Well, I maintained this relationship with her all these years. And of course, when I became mayor of Boston, sometime after that, I received a phone call from one of my dear friends, John Cardinal O'Connor, who was the Archbishop of New York. Cardinal O'Connor said to me, he was a chaplain in the Navy, and all the kids from my neighborhood, including my brother and everybody else, they were all serving in Vietnam. And Cardinal O'Connor was a chaplain in Vietnam during the war. So we got to know him pretty well in the town. He called me up this day and he said, Mayor, a good friend of yours wants to come to Boston and would like to talk to you. I said, sure, of course, Cardinal, who is it? He says, your friend Mother Teresa. And I says, wonderful. I said, I'd love to have her come to Boston. So I figured, I told my staff, I said, be prepared. Sometime in the future, Mother Teresa is coming. Well, the next morning, one of the nuns from her order shows up at my office, no invitation, no reservation, no appointment. And she says, Mother Teresa coming tomorrow, she wants to meet with you. So I said, okay. So it was in the minority neighborhood of Boston. It's where they had the riots in 1968. And many of the houses on the street had burned down. So Kathy and I, my wife is with me, she'll tell you the same story. Kathy and I picked up that morning by the police, a couple of police officers drove us over to Roxbury, went into this kitchen. I haven't been in the Visitation House, but I get the impression that this is the same kind of situation. A big colonial house overlooking the Kennedy Library and the Southeast Expressway in Boston Harbor. With that, Mother Teresa is there. We sat down. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, because Eva's got the clock ticking on me. She tells me this story. She wants to build housing, shelter, for heroic, unwed mothers and their beautiful babies. This is how she described it to me, to us. So we said, Mother Teresa, that's a wonderful, noble effort. We support you 100%. What can we do for you? I figured, you know, we're going to have a little fundraising party. We'll raise $50,000 or $60,000 or whatever it is. She says, she said, I want 3 houses right here on this street. And they're beautiful, beautiful houses. At least they once were. 3 beautiful houses on the street. She said, we need 3 houses. So I'm listening to her and I'm saying to myself, Mother of God, what am I going to do? I can't say no to Mother Teresa. But there's a law in the city that you can't just deed over the house because you'd be giving it to your brother-in-law and your aunt and your grandmother and everybody else. You'd have to have an auction, a public auction, and then somebody would up and say, how much do you bid? Oh, I bid $700,000. Oh, I bid $1 million, whatever. And it goes to the highest bidder. That's what the law says. And you can understand why you would have a law to alleviate any kind of abuse and corruption and cronyism. Well, Mother Teresa, I started to explain to her the law. I said, Mother Teresa, you know, we can't do this, you know, this is what the law says and this and that. I'm quoting this chapter that goes back to like 1865 or something in the law. And she has no interest in what I have to say. So that's fine. I figured you know, Mother Teresa, a very reasonable person. She grasped what I had to say, and that'd be the end of it. And then maybe she'd take me up on my offer of maybe raising her a few bucks here and there. So Mother Teresa, oh yeah, I understand very much, Mr. Mayor. I understand. Very nice. You nice boy. However, I need the 3 houses. So I said, well, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. And I went into the whole story again, the Massachusetts general laws and the chapter and the code and all this other stuff. And she says, and she's nodding as I'm speaking. That's the most aggravating thing when you do it. It's like my mother. You know, she's nodding affirmatively, and then when you get through, she says, no, you're going to do what I tell you to do. Well, Mother Teresa now is nodding and there's a very beautiful smile on her face, and the same story. And I says, but Mother Teresa, oh no, she says, I need the 3 houses, these beautiful children, beautiful faces of God on their face, these heroic mothers bringing life into the world. She's got this animated thing. I never saw anything like it. She's almost in my face. I'm like this far away from her. So then this went on, Kathy will tell you, it went on for 1 hour. The same thing. I mean, we weren't getting anywhere. So finally, my press secretary came in and he says, Mayor, there's a big crowd of reporters outside here on the porch of this house. And the whole street is full of people in this minority neighborhood. And I said, who invited the reporters? And what's the point here? I said, there's no news here. I figured somebody robbed a bank, or they might have found Whitey Bulger, or whatever they did. So I went out, I said, well, Mother Teresa, you know, thank you very much for coming. I'll help you, whatever I can do. So now we're walking out. We're on the porch, and there had to be 75 of these microphones in front of us, and the television cameras from as far away as New York, and the Vatican even had a camera there, and everybody was just chomping at the bit trying to get the story. Now, being the mayor of the city of Boston, you would automatically, if it was the president, or Mr. Gorbachev, or anybody, foreign leader, the mayor would always take the microphone first because he's the host of the Meet the City and introduce whoever the distinguished celebrity or guest is. No, not in this case. Mother Teresa proceeded right to the microphone. Now, she's supposed to be this simple nun, you know what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to be this pretty savvy, streetwise Irish Catholic politician, right? No one's going to fix me. But Mother Teresa goes up to the microphone. She says, I want to thank the wonderful people of Boston. They are such great people. They elected this wonderful boy who's very, very kind to beautiful, beautiful babies and heroic mothers. And he has just decided to give us the 3 houses. I don't know. If Dan Riley, you tell me, I don't know, who does Mother Teresa go to confession to? But she had to go to somebody, I'll tell you that. Well, that seems like the end of the story, except for this last part. Next to me, on the porch, there's Joe Fahey. I don't know if there's any organized labor here, members of organized labor, but Joe Fahey was the president of the AFL-CIO in Massachusetts. And Joe is standing there, and I said to him, Joe, what are you doing here? He says, what am I doing here, Ray? He says, you invited me here. You called my house last night. Your office didn't, you wanted me here. So there's the president of the bank, some Yankee guy from the Bank of America, standing next to the other side, and I said, Chad, what are you doing here? He says, well, I got a special request from you to be here today. Oh, boy. So with that, Mother Teresa goes on to further announce that the AFL-CIO has agreed to do all the work in the houses for nothing. And the president of the Bank of America has decided to give all the money and lend all the necessary money for not only the 3 houses, but there was going to be a clinic, there was going to be a playground, and there was going to be an after-school program and a child care program and a training program for all the mothers. My friends, does that sound like the Visitation House to you? Does it sound, you know, I don't want to get involved in this, but did somebody twist your arm to do these kind of things too? Well, I bet you they did. Well, I'll tell you, I had a little lady about this big that did it to me, and I'll go through life. When people introduce me and they'll say, one of the most powerful political figures that ever came out of Massachusetts, I look at them and under my breath and say, baloney. That's Mother Teresa is the most powerful politician I ever met. No.